This is the Dearborn steel tubing diorama. It was built by Don Strong. The roof and ceiling of this diorama lifts up. First, you have to make sure that the two clips on both sides are unclipped. Then you can lift the roof and make sure that this bar is straight. You have to pull on it a little bit to straighten it out. And then you make sure that the little pin is in there so that the diorama roof doesn't fall down on you. Okay, I made some modifications to the diorama. On the left side, I left the walls painted in two-tone like it's supposed to be, and that those stayed the same. But on the right side, I repainted the walls to match the block wall, the gray block wall that you see in the original facility. Now in doing this, I've set the pattern for the colors for the extension diorama that I'm going to build. So that will continue the same color scheme, and it will help tie it in, this diorama with the extended diorama. There is a dimmer switch and a on-off switch still for the lights in this diorama. And I have an extended floor. Let me show you what the diorama looks like without the floor. There's what it looks like now, currently. And the floor pins in, if I can get it lined up right. And the expansion joints for the concrete floor all match up. The same measurement, same pattern. Everything that you see in this diorama, currently as it stands right now, is glued down. Everything is glued in place, except the lamp on the desk. That can be moved around. And I'll explain that a little bit more later. But all the items that you see in this diorama currently right now are all glued down. Cannot be moved. Over on the right side here, we have windows. And just to show you what we can do with the windows, if you put a light outside the window, you can show like sunlight in the daytime coming through the windows. So that's something you can play with while you're taking photos. In this video, I'm going to show you how we populate this diorama with detail items and what items we have available. I'm going to start off by talking about the office area of the diorama. Here you see the desk, and over here you'll see a wall that has some permanently mounted schedules and paperwork, posters. I want to focus in on the desk area. And what we have is we have magnets in the walls. You can probably see them. And what we'll do is we'll put different clocks up. I have various clocks with different times on it. So as you take your photos for different time frames, I have different calendars that go on the wall, and there's no dates, years. There's no years on the calendar, so it doesn't matter which calendar you put up and when. And I have pictures of presidents. I have various presidents, which I'll show you in a minute. It's tricky to get them straight, so it takes a little bit of work to make sure that they're straight on there. And then we have banners and posters that go over on the left side. This one is one that's showing a race coming up. And all of these 4 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items, are all done with magnets. The lamp is movable on the desk. You can move it around. And we have an ashtray. I don't know if you can even see that in the video, but it's an ashtray that has, see here, cigarette butts in it. And that should be moved around too as you take photos. You really can't tell what how many cigarette butts are in the ashtray, but that's just something to keep in mind. So now I'm going to show you a picture of all the items that we have available to put on and around, in and around the desk area for your different photographs. Also, for the office area, we have some furniture and some different items that can be put into the office area. Now I'd like to talk about the shop area. And in the shop area, we have some workbenches. We have a workbench that has a lathe on it. And obviously these things can be moved around. And we have a grinding wheel. You want to make sure that the wire goes behind the workbench so it looks like it's plugged in. And then on the wall I've made some marks for the stuff that comes off the grinder. So those are the main parts of the work area in the shop area. And then of course you have all little details that you would add. The tools, there's lots of tools. And on this workbench over here, because this is part of the Mustang 3 photo area, but when it's not being used as that, you put stuff in front of all the items on the workbench. You can put toolboxes and, oh, I should have brought out the boxes, but there's lots of cardboard boxes that can go all over the place. So this is what you have as far as workbenches for the normal shop area. And then up on the wall here, there's a magnet, and you can install the first aid box. Did you see that? That goes up there with a magnet. And the reason that that is magnetized is because when we do our photos for the Mustang 3, we don't want that there. But for the normal shop area, other than the Mustang 3 photos, you'll put that there. And you'll put cardboard boxes and tools and such on these shelves. And on these shelves over here, you can put other items. And on the floor, you can put items. And we have like a fire extinguisher and different things, different details that you'll be putting into this diorama. One of the goals is to indicate the passage of time. And so you'll be wanting to move things around a little bit for each photo. Tools and carts and pallets and such. And on these hooks in the back of the shop here, the back wall, I have made some things that you can hang on these hooks, and you can move them around and get the effect of the passage of time. So you want to use these hanging things on the hooks to show the passage of time. And I will show you a picture of these items, of what you can put on the hooks. I'm not hanging them all up here, but if you move them around, it'll show the passage of time. Move things around and show the passage of time. You have to be careful and really analyze the photo that you're about to take. And I use this as an example. There's a trash can full of rags. If you took a picture in 1963 of a car in this diorama, and you had this trash can full of rags, and then you took a picture in 1964 with another car, or the same car, or whatever, with this same trash can with these rags, some sharp guy is going to say, hey, how come they never emptied that trash can, the rags? So you have to be wise when you set up this diorama, because all these items are movable, and the way you move them and where you place them and what's in the photo, you have to analyze it very carefully. So this trash can would be seen in a photo that might be good for a month of photos in time, but you might not put this trash can in the photo after that, or you might put it back way in the back where you can't see how many rags are in it, like that. And maybe in one photo you have it kind of up front where you can see how many rags, but you have to be careful. So that's just one of the things I wanted to mention. And this is trash can full of rags is a very good example of how your passage of time could be discovered as not real if you weren't careful. One of the things I spent a lot of time doing was setting up backgrounds for photos of the Mustang III, so that we could replicate the photos that we have of the original, the real Dearborn steel tubing facility. So I want to show you photos first of all the items that I built that were specifically built for photos of the Mustang III. And you can use some of those items in photos that you're taking that are not of the Mustang III, because they would still be in the shop. But you just have to do a lot of thinking about what items you want in these photos and which ones you don't want. I just showed you the items that go into this diorama that are not part of the specific Mustang III backdrop photos. So first I wanted to show you, though, I needed to build a Mustang III so I could get the correct size. So please excuse my build quality of this Mustang III, but it was only built so that I could use it to size the items in the photos and to have the right size of the car. So that's the only reason this was built. I built it in about an hour or two, and it serves as a car that is the same size as the Mustang III. So let me show you the photos of all the items that I built. And then after you see those pictures, Then I'm going to show you how to use them to replicate the photos of the Mustang 3 that we want to replicate. Now I will show you where the Mustang 3 photo details, where they are located. First thing we want to do is remove the first aid kit. First up is the pallet full of junk. Everything is glued down on these items, so there's no moving the items on the pallet. First one's located in the corner. The next one is a shelf full of details. Lots of little details in this one. And that is located up against the pallet. Next comes the drip pan with the oil drums, and that is located up against the shelf workbench. And the next thing we have is all of the stuff that goes on to the hooks. And I will mount those things and then start the video again. In order to replicate the photos that we want to take, the items on these hooks have to be put on exactly as shown in this video. Otherwise, it won't look like the photos that we want to take. For instance, this has to cross over just like that. And this piece of lumber needs to be just like this. There you go. That should replicate the photo very, very closely. And then the last piece is this workbench. Now this workbench can be used in other photos because I put some of these items farther back, so you can put workbenches in front of it. So you could use this in other photos, but that's just something you got to work with, mix and match things. And then there's this piece of lumber. Now you might think it's pretty minimal. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's that important, but when you look at the photo, you'll see that there's something there that's just like that piece of lumber. And then the last item you have is this. And this is at the very corner of one of the photographs, and we may have to move it a tiny bit to make it right. But that goes right there. So that's what it looks like when it's all set up. And then you have to place the car in the scene. And just for the purposes of positioning things, we will put our figure in here, even though the figure won't be part of the photo, because we won't have figures in our photos. But we want to set this up. And I can't take a photo with a video. I mean, I need to take the photo. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take a photo of this and show you what the photo looks like and how it all lines up to match the photo, the original photo we have. Okay, I took some photos, but I thought before I show you those photos, I want to show you the two original photos of the Dearborn Steel tubing facility that we're trying to replicate. So first I'll show you the two photos that we're trying to replicate. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you are the photos I took to replicate that first photo. First, you'll see the full-size photo I took, then the one I cropped, and then one in black and white. The next series of pictures, photos, is for the second photo. Again, we'll start out with the full size that I took, and then the one I cropped, and then the black and white one. And the last series of photos are comparison. The top photo is the original old photo, and the one below it is the one that I took. And as you compare these photos, you have to realize that the lighting is different. It's very hard to get lighting right. It's difficult for me to get the depth of field correct so that everything is in focus, because I'm not sure how to do that on my iPhone. I'm taking these photos with my iPhone. So I don't know how to get the depth of field correct, and the lighting is difficult. It looks like the originals were taken with a flash, and so there's a lot of dark areas in there, and I'm not sure how to replicate that. And then again, I'm not exactly sure how closely we want to replicate these photos. What we want to do is make sure that everything in the background still looks the same as the original photos, but we're not going to have a body, a person in the photo. Plus, you may want to take a photo from further back to indicate what the whole shop looks like, and maybe not even replicate exactly those old photos. So that's just to be determined by whoever's taking the photos. So all I can say is you got to move the camera around a lot, move the car around, and do different angles and try to get the kind of photo that you want, whether you want to exactly replicate those old photos or not. So look at the comparisons that I did. It was as close as I could get without spending hours and hours and hours trying to take every exposure and every angle. But it'll give you an idea how close we've come. The background detail items match pretty good. It's just getting the thing in scale and in the right angle. So look at the last two photos I have that compare the old photo on top to the one I took on the bottom. The two original photos that were taken do not show anything near where the roof is, where the ceiling is inside the facility. So I wanted to take this shot for you. This is the original, this is with the lights on in the diorama and the roof down. This would be a simulation of what you might take for photos with using the existing lighting. Those neon lights are pretty bright compared to the lights that are on the ceiling. So we might want to, maybe you could cover those up somehow. But this kind of gives you a flavor for what this looks like with the existing lighting only. There's no other lights on. And then if I turn on some outside light, some extra lighting, it washes out the lights that are inside the diorama, but this again gives you an idea of some kinds of photos you could take with this diorama and the ceiling down in place where it's supposed to be. So that covers the Dearborn steel tubing diorama. I'll probably think of something else when I'm all done with this, but that gives you an idea of what can be done with this diorama. Yes, I did think of something else. I wanted to show you what it looked like with the only the diorama lights and the floor extension. So you notice that the floor extension, it makes the car in the foreground pretty dark. So you'll have to figure out some kind of extra lighting if you want to take photos if from the with the extension on it and with the diorama lights. So here I'm going to turn on, add a little bit of light to it, just a little bit, and there you see it's more natural now. It looks like the extension has some lighting on it. So that's what you'd want to do, is to take pictures of cars on the floor extension with the diorama lights. And then here's a lot more light. But I kind of like this effect here, where you just have a little bit of room light and the diorama lights on. So that's the Dearborn steel tubing diorama. Wait a minute, don't go away. There are 3 more things I need to show you. This is the light control, as you see over here. And make a focus in on that. And it controls the lights. It can dim them or make them brighter. And one thing that I just added was a light switch for the neon lights. Now, this diorama originally had a light switch for the neon lights that Don put in when he built it. But since I put this top on the roof here, this part here, it was going to cover up that switch, so I deleted the switch. But Mark and I decided that we want to be able to turn off these neon lights. So I'll show you where the switch is. That's where it's located, in the back. You can just reach right over and shut it off, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Easy to reach. Okay, now the neon lights are off. And as we adjust the lights inside the diorama, see, it looks a little better in some ways. Sometimes you might want to have those neon lights on as you focus in on the details back in the rear. Also, the original Dearborn steel tubing facility had neon lights all over the place. And the new extension diorama will have neon lights in it, so it'll match the ones you see here. So the new extended diorama will have neon lights. These industrial type lights that we have in this diorama are pretty neat because they give it a very old school look. Something else that I added was a way to lift the cars up. This lift I had to remove and rebuild, and now it can be moved around any way you like here, except it's also removable. And in order to lift up a car, you take this device, and here is a, see if I can focus in on it. This is a washer, and it has one side says bottom on it. So you put the bottom on the bottom, and you take this device here, the lift, and you stick that right down there. I had to stiffen this up to make sure it'll lift up the model car, and you put that on top, and now you can lift up model car. So you have one of these that is a lift. This other one is permanently down. Also, Mark mentioned that we might want to have some primer sprayed over on the right side of this diorama, like they may have done that. So I added a spray gun, paint spray gun. First, let me show you what we have here. This is the air line from the air compressor. In a normal situation, we would want to have this valve. This is the valve. It slips right in that hole. If you want to put a spray gun in there, we have a spray gun on a little piece of metal here. It's got some thinner, it has a funnel, and it has a can of white paint, or a can of primer. And this is the spray gun. And you take the other end of the spray gun, which has a water trap, a regulator, and a valve on it, and you put this right into this hole here. Just like that. See if I can focus in on it. And then I have a table that I built. You can put this right on the table. and you can commence to spraying primer. Now there's one kind of a big issue with this, and that is over here on this end of the diorama at the desk, you have a supervisor smoking in the same area as the spray painting. If I were a safety manager, I'd shut you right down. In fact, there's no evidence of a vent fan sucking out any air in this area. So there's some reasons why you wouldn't want to spray primer over here. So if you just go drive this car out of the facility, around to the back, you go through this door, and guess what? The extended DST diorama will have a spray booth, which is where you would spray the primer. But nonetheless, I still made it an option to have a spray gun in this area. So that should take care of everything in this diorama.